About 20 years ago, Dr. Kim Bostwick journeyed deep into the jungle to see it firsthand.
I'd woken up pre-dawn, hiked up 1,000 meters of tropical forest to see this bird that I've thought about and looked at and listened to the sounds of for many months.
Kim had heard the club-winged manakin's song on recordings, but had never seen it in action.
So I get up to the ravine, I lift up my binoculars, and then, big, 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 he does his thing, and it's just like flash, flash, flash. And I'm like, oh my gosh. What did he do? How did he do that?
Kim wasn't the first to be baffled by this beakless bird song. Charles Darwin was captivated by it 150 years ago. But how exactly the manakin created this sound has always been a mystery. Kim was determined to crack it.
One of the things I noticed when I saw him do it was those wings were blurry.
So the one obvious place to look for this sound is the wings.
He just did something that looked impossible. Here, this is at quarter speed. And there's a wall of sound that just hits you. This sounds like a foghorn. What is he doing in the speed that I can't see? It was a perfect mystery.
If the manakin was making a sound with its wings, its secret might be revealed with high-speed filming. Kim returned to the jungle with a camera that could shoot 1,000 frames a second.
And the bird comes and he does a tick, tick, ting. And right there in the field, we play it. And what we see is the male's sitting there and he throws his wings up. And what we see is boom, 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 boom.
You're about to see how many movements the club-winged manakin can make in just 1/3 of a second. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. He just keeps going. He pulls his wings together 37 times, all that in just 1/3 of a second.
So when he does that sound, that me, in that time, he's going bop, 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 beating his wings together. To give some perspective on that speed, if you see a hummingbird come up and flutter in your face, his wings are typically going between 60 and 75 cycles a second. This was 107 cycles a second.
So was the manakin beating its wings together so fast that they created this song?
When you watch that high-speed video, you can see the wings coming together and clapping. And so if you look at how fast they clap, that should explain the sound.
Mystery solved! Right? No, that doesn't solve the mystery. It's like a piece, but it's not there. What we were seeing was knock. We were seeing two things hit. So if we were seeing two things hit, we expect a sound that's going to go thunk, 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 thunk. And if we listen to the sound, we don't hear thunk, 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 thunk. We hear we hear a continuous thing. Okay, maybe if it's so fast, we just can't hear it. But you can take that sound, that you can put it in a computer and you can analyze it, and there is no sign of a thunk. There is no clapping. It is a pure, continuous, beautiful tone. So what we saw did not correspond to what we heard.
Are the feathers rubbing together and producing sound in a similar way to how singing insects do?
The idea that this bird is producing the sound in the same way is really unlikely because insects are able to contract their muscles at much faster rates than a bird's wing muscle, for example. And also they have these much more rigid body parts.
Birds don't have hard bodies like insects. They just have feathers, which are soft. Could the club-winged manakin's feathers be different? But Kim noticed something new about feather 6.
There's a bunch of ridges right here in the surface of the feather.
Ridges on a hard surface, just like insects use to chirrup. If these ridges are being used in a similar way, what could be rubbing against them?
What I had overlooked for a long time was that this feather, number 5, is weird in its own way. It's super straight, and then it kinks over, Troop. It's just a little kink, and it's got kind of a blade on the underside. And suddenly, what it looked like I had was teeth on a comb and a plectrum, and together they form an instrument.
Each time the mannequin beats its wings together, the plectrum moves down and then up against the hard, ridged feather, strumming each of those bumps as it goes and causing the feather to vibrate. Kim had found the first bird in the world that chirrups like an insect.
Not only has it evolved special feathers, it has also evolved stronger muscles with which to power them.
But does it vibrate fast enough to get us to our magic number of just under 1500, which is the bird's frequency of pitch? Remember, the mannequin makes 107 wing beats a second, but produces a sound that's made by almost 1500 vibrations a second.
Here's the really cool thing. There are 7 bumps on that feather, which means that every time the wings smack together, it gets rubbed on the way in, 7 bumps, and then rubbed on the way out with 7 bumps. So there are 14 bumps every time the wings hit. And that perfectly explains the sound.
For every wing beat in and back, that's 14 ridges and 14 more sound vibrations.
If it's bouncing at 107 times a second, you would expect the frequency of the sound to be exactly 14 times higher. And that's exactly what it is. It's a beautiful scientific experiment.
It's a huge feather in the cap for this mannequin. But why has it evolved such a complicated system just to play a song?
The clubwing mannequin may not be the highest flyer or the best flyer, but he is a high flyer when it comes to the ladies. He's turned his wings into a musical instrument, and the females love a musician.